Welcome to the I'm Such a Pisces podcast. We're two friends taking an explorative journey into all things astrology and a little woo. I'm Christine. I'm a creative, intuitive counselor and coach, and astrology enthusiast. We Pisces like to wear all the hats. You can find me on IG at The Dreamy Piscean.
And I'm Shelby. I am a licensed social worker, a big feelings person, and a light skeptic. Here to learn all the astrological things. You can find me on Twitter at Shelby Tweeting, and being a Cancer rising on Instagram at Shelby Cooking Things. Welcome to our show.
Hey, Tommy. Now my dad made Kaylee pregnant, and now she's having a baby. And it's a girl. And I never even wanted a sister. That was like my nightmare. Girls suck.
Dawson, what are you saying?
I was saying that I always wanted a baby sister. And if a boy tries to mess with her, I'll kill him.
Alright, well, I wanted to tell Tommy myself. You didn't have to say it like that. And why did you cuss again?
I'm tired of worrying. Hey, Tom.
Okay, so
What was that? What?
so let me set the scene. So this video was posted by none other than Miss Tina Knowles. She always has the funny clips. So
Miss Tina.
this is young Dawson, and he has walked up to the doorbell cam of Tommy's house. We don't know who Tommy is exactly. I don't know if Tommy is an adult or if Tommy is a child. But he is telling Tommy that his dad has impregnated Kaylee, which I assume is dad's girlfriend or maybe even wife. But Kaylee is pregnant and it's going to be a girl. And this is the worst thing that could have happened because girls suck. And so then dad walks up and he's like, "What are you doing?" Because, he is at Tommy's house in Tommy's door telling all the business. And so then Dawson quickly backtracks to say, "Oh no, I was just saying I was excited. Like there's a little girl and, if something happens," and then it says bleep. So I'm assuming like he was talking maybe kicking somebody's ass or whatever he said. Which all of this was a lie. Then, dad's like, "Well, I wanted to tell Tommy," you hear that. And he's like, "And why did you just cuss?" And Dawson says, "Oh, I slipped." And that's where the video is. And all of this is caught on the doorbell cam.
My God, this is why I will not get a Ring doorbell camera. I just I won't do it. I don't have one, and I just don't want to know if people talking shit outside of my house.
So I'm not gonna lie, I definitely like to mess with my partner Melissa when I'm not at home. If she's outside, you can press the microphone and talk. Like I'm supposed to be the person inside the house, but I'm away from home and I'm talking to her. It's fun. Just she's sitting on the porch. I'm like, "What are you doing?"
That's terrifying. Another reason I don't have one.
Right. Well, we're going to take this moment to welcome everyone to the I'm Such a Pisces podcast. My name is Christine.
And I'm Shelby.
Welcome to this week's episode.
It's going to be fun. I can already tell. The edibles kicking in.
Hey.
We didn't have a single glitch in our setup today.
I'm we're professionals.
Recording.
Yes.
So smooth. It's a full moon.
It's a full moon, and it's beautiful. I saw it last night, and it's just, Yeah. Also, I felt it last night because, again, we talked about, I had some emotional conversations last night.
Some feelings, yeah.
A lot of feelings came up.
Very understandable feelings, too, but, that's an off-mic topic.
Yes.
Okay, I will say last night, I went to bed, I don't know, probably around 11:30, and the angle of our house, I couldn't really see it before I went to bed. And then I woke up, it was probably like 3 a.m. And I opened my eyes just kind of like, you know, looking around. And then I turned around. Okay, also, our new house, we don't have any blinds or any curtains up because we just moved in and there's nothing. So people our windows are just wide open all the time. Like, people can see in,
Yeah.
can see out. It's a little unnerving, and it's kind of weird that I'm getting used to it.
Yeah.
But the moon was shining into our bedroom window at like 3 a.m. and that shit was so bright. Like, insanely bright.
Yes.
And like, I was like, like, I closed my eyes again.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if you're getting some direct moon action, yeah, I mean, they get really bright. It's like there's a spotlight in my window right now.
Yeah, and it was clear here last night. I know you said it stormed there, but yeah, it was a wild time. It was a weird way to wake up for sure.
Yes, like I definitely saw it. Yeah, I was like, I see you, moon. You know, it was just like peeking through the clouds. It was just like a perfect little opening. And I'm like, I'm admiring you, admiring me, admiring you.
Admiring each other.
Admiring each other. But no, so you made me think about, I'm not going to take a long tangent. But
yeah, sorry.
it made me laugh about, right. Well, no, I mean, this is a, you know, it's a tangent. So, but you said about the open windows, and it just really, like, we've had so many conversations about white people living in houses with no covering. And so me and Melissa, right, I'm like, we have this like back and forth because I'm like, I mean, it's kind of interesting. I'm like, I like the look. Melissa's like, how do you not have cover? Right. I got some other stuff going on. I'm like,
maybe I like some stuff. Maybe I like it when people look. I don't know.
Right? I mean, like, clearly. I'm like, but you have to be, I mean, it's interesting. Because, I mean, like, we drive around some of the neighborhoods around here, of course, and, like, you just can look in someone's home and they're just in there. Like, I'm like, oh, hey, I can see you in there. It's so weird because,
see everything.
Right, like, we feel so much like, oh, once it gets like dark outside, when you can actually really see in, like, oh, now it's time to close the blinds. You don't have anything to close. I'm like, I don't know about people just seeing me chilling, like falling asleep on the couch, you know. Yeah. I don't know about it.
That part is weird. The main thing that, and we live in, like, the end of our street is a dead end street.
Yeah.
So it's not like the people directly across from us, their house is sort of at an angle, so they're not really looking in. But if there's kids playing in the street at night, which there sometimes is, they can see into our house. So I got kind of weirded out about, like, smoking and
right.
House.
Right.
Like, okay, do I need to go to the garage where no one can see me? Anyway, sorry. I feel like today is going to be a tangent day.
It's a tangent episode.
I'm so sorry.
Hey, we haven't had a tangent episode for real in a while, so.
We haven't. But we also do have a really solid topic today that I'm excited about. I did all the research, you know, earlier this week when I was in a different frame of mind. So the research is there, and if I can read, then I can give it to you.
You got this, girl. You got this. I was like, oh, this is thorough. Like, I saw I pulled up the outline, and I was like, okay, like, this is thorough. I was like, Shelby got some questions in here. I'm like, okay, I'm about to be doing some work today.
Yeah, sorry. Can you tell I went back to therapy last week?
Yes. I was like, okay. Let me get myself together.
We don't have to answer all the questions, I promise. But we're gonna get a little into our little psychology bag.
I'm with it. Yes.
But before we get there, let's get to the ratchet shit.
Yes.
You want to tell me about what your co-star is giving today?
I'm gonna let you know about co-star. So co-star says, keep your head on your body.
Oh.
I feel like co-star this week has been like, oh, you're getting out there, come back. Or some days it's like, yeah, just go ahead and float out there. Like, it's just, it depends on the day.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm sorry. I just realized this as you were talking about it. I was thinking about, like, floating away. And looking at your background and it's giving Earth sign, it's giving Taurus rising. Christine's got a little vignette with like some plants and like a nice thing, and I'm over here. This is literally a tapestry that is just a picture of the ocean, and I'm just like floating away.
Yes, come on, floating in the ocean, like we're giving Earth and water compatible energies. Yes.
Yeah, real rising. I'm giving my rising sign. I'm giving Cancer. You're giving Taurus.
Come on, see, making the associations. I'm here for it. Aesthetic, the aesthetic.
But all that to say, head on your body.
Head on your body. So, the do's. Felt tip.
Ooh, sexy.
My favorite kind of pen is a felt tip. Now listen.
The only kind of pen.
I have a thing about pens, and apparently that is also a Pisces thing, like pens and markers and stuff, which I'm like, okay, creatives,
yes,
like very specific about pens, and like me and Melissa get into it, not really, but you know, like more I get into it about the pen.
Sure.
Because she'll like, you know, leave a pen open, leave it like clicked, and I'm like, no, like, so I've literally had to, yes, like separate my pen. I have my own pen cup and stuff like on my art desk. I'm like, these are mine, and you may not use them because they'll be dried out somewhere, and like, I'm gonna be upset.
I won't. I'm not having it. No, these are my good pens. Pens are not cheap either.
No. Like these little pens we get from Target. I've already bought 3 or 4 sets. I'm like, it's only been like a year. I'd be like going in, like journaling. Ooh, I got a lot to say.
Lots, always, so much. God forbid anyone ever reads any of that shit.
My God.
Speaking from personal experience, but you know, I imagine because we're both Pisces, it's a similar thing.
Yeah. No one needs to read that.
Anyway, what other kind of do's do you have?
So the other do's, calligraphy. Speaking of writing,
makes sense. They go together.
And snail mail.
Oh, do you want to write me a letter? I'll send my address.
It's very like, yes, send me your... We can be pen pals.
Oh my God, I love getting mail. I did that so much during the pandemic. I would just like send people cards and shit just for fun.
That's so
I don't know.
cute.
I love it.
I have a habit of not checking the mail.
Fair.
I'm like, it's just bills in there. Just
That's true.
Classic Pisces, like avoiding, like I just leave the bill in the mailbox and then I don't have to deal with it. Like I'm the person that like forgets to pay a bill. I'm like, oh, I forgot to pay my phone bill. Sorry, y'all. Like my phone was off for a couple hours because I didn't realize. That happened this summer.
Girl, auto pay. Get on auto pay.
I know, but that's what I'm telling you.
But I know it's a struggle.
We like the drama.
The checking account is not always, you know.
Gotta check it in a savings. Oh gosh, but yes, like this. I mean, like not often happens, but like it's happened enough, and it's like, oh my bad. Like it happened one day. I was keeping my nephew, and I could not figure out why his parents were not texting me back. I'm like texting them. And I'm like, I don't know why. I mean, because they're in the other, they're in their offices, but I don't want to like disturb them if they're in a meeting or something. Girl, it was like a few hours later, and I was like, oh my God, my phone's not on.
Christine, oh my God. Okay, see, we're both Pisces, but that shit has never happened to me.
No, it must be all the Pisces, like the moon, the stellium in the 12th house, like just like, girl,
that
get
reminds
it
me that I've been looking into my North Node recently, and maybe it's related because it's in Capricorn, and I don't know.
Yeah,
it's more of where I'm going, but I feel like I've always
Sure.
had that like that's just I don't care if I have to like I don't know what I have to sell some plasma, but like I'm good. Like
yes. I'm like, oh yeah. I just like it, like, and it's just totally. I'm like, oh, and so then it becomes like a hassle because then I have to like make sure I'm on the Wi-Fi so I can get back and pay the bill.
How am I supposed to pay this if I can't do it on
I
the
can't use
computer
the phone.
in my hand? Can't
So
call
then,
anyone.
yeah, a mess. It's like, it's not like I didn't have the money. It's just like, I usually remember, and then all of a sudden I'm like, why is the phone not working? Why are they not texting me back? Like, I was a little irritated at one point, and I'm like, oh, okay, that was me.
This is
that
why
was me.
This is why CoStar is telling you to use snail mail.
Right. Well,
Just
you
mail
know,
a letter.
it's the only kind of. I mean, you already know about my habits with emails, so I'm just. I'm not good at like checking the correspondence.
I check on it frequently, and there's still nothing in there. So
Yeah, I mean, like, I see the previews, and I'm like, if there's nothing interesting, then I just don't go back to it, and then that's how I have so many unopened emails, because it didn't look interesting, but I didn't delete it, and then, like, sometimes I go on deleting sprees, but...
well, at a certain point, it's just too much.
Right,
Yeah.
The number is never going to go to 0.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
Anyways, about all of my Pisces weaknesses, the shadow.
The shadow. Hey. We're gonna talk about it.
Yes. The don'ts. Targeted ads.
Now, how am I supposed to get away from them? Okay, they're everywhere.
What am I supposed to do about that?
Talk to Mark Zuckerberg.
Right. Zuckerberg. Okay, accusations and straight to spam.
Speaking of emails.
Straight to spam. This is a very like Gemini do's and don'ts. That's the energy I'm getting from it, right?
Yeah,
a lot of correspondence, a lot of interesting. Very
it's telling
interesting.
you to reach out to someone or something, or I don't know, put some feelers out, maybe.
Right. Anyways, enough about me.
Okay. What do I have for you today? All right. My co-star says, your dreams are a source of truth.
Ooh. I love that. That's very Piscean. Like,
It is. I feel like I don't dream super often, but when I do, it's always like, I have a feeling I know what that means. Like,
ooh, okay.
They're always like ones that I can apply in scenarios in my life. I won't say always, but most of the time. For a long time, I had a recurring dream that I was pregnant, and every time I was in the dream, I was in a different stage of being pregnant. It was so stressful. Worst series of dreams ever. Anyway, sorry. But anyway, enough about that.
Look, now I'm like, okay, but what did the dream mean, though? Because you were birthing something, and it was a process. I'm like, let's talk about it.
I was in grad school, and I was almost done with grad school. And I was like, there was a lot of mixed messaging there. It was like right around the time I graduated, we bought a house, and then we got ready to get married, and it was just like all like,
oh wow.
Or no, graduating was the last thing I did, but I had also just bought a house and gotten married and then was graduating, and so I feel like I was just like accomplishing all my adult goals at the same time.
And dreams, the messages coming. Look, don't get me started. Don't get me started on dreams. Like,
oh man,
I'm not gonna hold you.
Can we get a dream interpreter on the pod sometime? How fun would that be?
You know, you already know.
Okay.
I'm on it.
Yes.
I'm on it. Like, I got some dream books up. Like, I have some dream interpretation books, like, above our bed. We have this shelf above the bed.
Open it up real quick.
Like,
what does that mean?
There was a while, like, I was doing a lot of dream work, and, like, there's a way you, like, intentionally try to remember your dreams, and you wake up. The problem is you have to wake up at, like, 3 a.m., write things down, and go back to sleep. And, like,
that part is always hard.
Yeah. Like, so having to train yourself to do that. But there was definitely some interesting insights that came out of that time. I'm open to doing the work again, you know. Yeah.
Let me Well, we probably need to have a choo choo. We
That-
need to have a meeting anyway to talk about our other upcoming guests. Oh my god, why is it so loud? It's not usually that loud.
What time is it? Is it, there's one that it's just like the horn is excessive. We talk about it
So much.
regularly. Like,
God damn.
right? It's excessive.
Toot, toot.
So I apologize to the listeners.
It's alright. I'm gonna try to cut it out. And we'll see if we get it out or
You're
not.
probably not going to be able to cut it out.
What if I just like put a bleep sound over the whole thing? like we just like had to really like cuss somebody out for like a really long time. Okay, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm still doing co-star. My dues today include grocery lists, whiteout, and grid paper. Lots of like
See?
writing
Yeah.
utensils, crafting.
I wonder,
Less reaching
okay.
out for me, but
Did Mercury just change signs? Did that just happen?
Oh, I don't know.
I feel like it did.
I feel like I should know.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm trying to remember the transits like of the week. I'm like, I feel like Mercury just changed. Did it change to Leo? I feel like maybe it did. Or is it changed to Virgo? Anyways, I can't remember exactly. I probably could pull it up, but we're just gonna say Mercury did recently change signs. So maybe that's this like Mercurian energy. But yes.
That tracks.
Continue.
My don'ts include announcements, algorithms, and glass objects.
Mm.
So I'm guessing I just can't really handle anything right now. Like
Be
I'm
very
probably
careful.
gonna fuck it up a little bit.
Yeah, we don't
So
want
I can't
you
announce.
know,
I can't drop anything. You know?
no glasses, no glass objects.
I say as I drink a large beverage in front of a bunch of electrical equipment, or
Right.
computers and shit, but whatever.
But it's not a glass.
It's not. It's a can. I'm drinking a
It's a
Stiegel
can.
Radler out of a can.
Yes, so you're good.
Whew, okay, that was co-star. I feel like that was the longest co-star ever. Sorry.
Our bad. Y'all missed a long episode from us.
Right. The last one was like a cute hour and a half.
Yes.
We'll see what happens this week.
We'll try.
Christine, do you have some more relatable content for us?
I do have some relatable content.
Okay.
Not as
I have a
long.
couple of things too, but
Okay.
just short.
So, the first is a post from Bitch Rising. And
One of
it
my
says,
favorite accounts.
Yes. They're getting everybody together. It says big Pisces energy. And I took a screenshot of this with the timestamp in because it was 4:44.
Nice.
And we'll get into our, numerology in a later
Numerology.
time. But
Right.
the numbers, I'm always seeing the numbers. Also, this tweet, the name of the person or the avatar is 444. So now I just saw that. The
Okay.
connections, synchronicities. Anyways, the tweet says, bitches be like, go cry about it. Like, okay, bitch, I was already gonna do that.
Yeah.
Big Pisces
always.
energy, okay? Like, I was already gonna do
Always.
that. But, alright, like, you think you're saying
Absolutely.
something, but I fully own my crying. So,
Yep. I have a lot of feelings and I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid.
I'm not afraid of my feelings. Alright, next. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's caffeine and cannabis. That's my favorite kind of, like, the combination is just a great, like, strong buzz.
That's not my entire personality. Like, maybe throw a nice cocktail in there, but yeah, that's
Yes.
it.
I mean, and I don't like caffeine and cannabis a lot because I don't caffeine a lot, but, like, when I do, it's like, this, why don't I do this more often? I should do this.
Now, I will say it is also a dangerous combination because if you get it wrong, you really fuck up. Like if you're in a real head highs, sort of a sativa moment, and then you have just a little too much caffeine. If you're an anxious person like I am, you might, as they say on the internet, like have to put your breathing in manual mode.
Yeah, yeah, that's a thing that I've become familiar with. Just in
3 in, 3 out, 3 in, 3 out.
Yeah, I'm like, ooh, that was a little strong. Let me just take some deep breaths. And then like this happens with people. I'm like, I just coach them through it. Yeah, just take a deep breath. It's fine. You're going to be fine.
I'm not going to feel like this forever.
Right.
This is just a passing feeling.
You need something cold. You need a cold compress. Like, your body getting a little hot. Like, I can
splash a little water in your face.
Listen, okay? It does. Sit on the floor and let your skin touch it. Mm-hmm.
It's really something, okay? It's helpful.
It's like, I can take care of you, I can take care of you. Get a little too high. I understand. I've been there. Like, come on over here. Just relax. It's okay.
Okay. All right. We're so getting into our mental health bag today. Look at us. And it's just me talking myself out of a panic attack. All right. What other relatable content do you have for us today?
Okay. So this is a meme, and I don't know what the reference is. So there's a girl sitting kind of lower, looking in some dark place, maybe.
Okay.
And a man sitting behind her, I think he's on the phone. Anyway, he's looking at her. He's on the phone. And it says, when Pisces finally gets into the relationship they've been dreaming of. And then the bottom caption says, it was easier when I just imagined you.
Yikes.
And I said, that's relatable. The fantasy you is always better than the reality.
Always better. Always better. Yeah.
Like,
sadly.
I like that other version of you that I imagined, I idealized, and, saw the potential.
Persona in my head.
Right. Let's just go back to that.
Yeah. Can you just do that thing?
Just do that. Yeah. So, okay, last one. And this is an image of Donald Duck. And he is...
You said that in such a sensual way.
Donald Duck.
Donald Duck.
Donald Duck. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And he's laying in the bed. So maybe that's why my voice changed.
Yeah, you got like a little like, ooh, okay, we're having
laying
an
in the
OnlyFans
bed.
moment now.
Gotta practice.
Gotta.
So he, you just see his head on the pillow, and he's turned. He looks really annoyed. He's like, his eyes are kind of looking back, like, what? And it says, when you try to sleep, but someone finally responds to your text that you sent 5 hours ago. It says Pisces. And I was like, now this is relatable because while we may be annoyed,
when I'm about to take a nap.
I am going to look and see what it says. I'm not going to wait until I wake back up.
No.
Like, but I'm annoyed because now I'm going to be reading it and now I got to be responding.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is what I have.
Once you're awake, you're just awake.
And let's not talk about my annoyance of being awake now. I have like phases of sleep. Like sometimes I like to get a good sleep, and sometimes I'm like the night owl and like do all the things in the night.
We had a whole podcast meeting at like midnight the other night, and I was like, "Are you awake?" And it's like the middle of the week,
right?
Because it's like I know, especially because we've already talked about this, like. I might text you something. You don't have to do it right then. I'm just going to let you know it's there.
Right,
And then we had a whole thing because we were both awake for no reason.
And listen, and what I say, I had awakened from my evening nap, and I was back.
It's time. It's time.
It's like, all right, now I've had my evening nap. It's 11 o'clock. Let's wake up and let's do some things.
Project. things.
Right. So what do you have for us?
Okay. I was trying to find the tweet that I was looking for, and I could not. But I had this idea today, so maybe I won't do it today, but I had this idea where I'm just going to start finding random funny memes, and I'm going to read them to you that are not related to astrology at all. And I'm just going to read you, like, funny tweets and funny memes, and then you're going to have to tell me what kind of, like, what energy you would match.
Yes.
Because I saw a tweet today, and I can't remember for the life of me what it was, but somebody, like, retweeted it and said, like, name this sign, and everybody in the comments was like, that's Cancer. That's definitely Cancer. And it was just, like, really funny, because that's what I thought, too.
I love that game.
I'm gonna try and remember to do that for next week. And if I find this other tweet that I was looking for, I'll share it. But
nope.
Sorry, my bad. I didn't know what was happening there. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to the I'm Such a Pisces podcast. I'm Shelby. I don't know why I need to reintroduce myself.
We're going to reintroduce ourselves after the break because
sorry.
we just been in the zone for the last hour, so
I'm having a good time this episode. Not that I had a good time last time too, but I think I was still, like, trying to figure out. We were trying to get back into the routine of regular recording.
Yes.
It took a minute to get the audio set up, and today I just came right in, and I feel like I'm having a good time.
Yes. Came out swinging.
That's right. Okay, so I guess I will go ahead and just sort of start in on our meets, if that's okay.
Yes, absolutely.
This is a Shelby-produced episode that I'm really excited about, because Christine's doing a lot of the production this season. She's got a whole series, okay? It's not her fault. I'm helping where I can.
I get in the zone.
I'm doing my best to do some research as much as I can for the episodes that I am here for.
Yes. Not that you are here for. You're here for all of the episodes.
Well, for this one I'm especially here because we are talking about Descendant Signs and the Shadow Self, as you may have picked up on already.
Yes.
So I'll just kind of start off with some definitions, if that's okay. Just for, I know we have people at all levels of astrology listening at this point. So some people who are well-versed probably know more than me, frankly. And then some people who are just like, I know my sun sign and that's it.
Yeah.
So we've talked a lot about ascendant signs or rising signs. So that's part of your big three. Obviously, I'm a Cancer, which I mentioned earlier. Christine is a Taurus rising. But because, the existence of an ascendant also implies the existence of a descendant. So on the birth chart, which we described pretty in depth last week for people who've never actually sat down to look at a birth chart mapped out, it's like a big circle with all the houses and the planets and stuff. So if you have an ascendant going one direction, your descendant is the sign that's exact opposite of it, in both location and symbolic meaning.
Yes.
So I know we've said this on the podcast before, but the ascendant sign or your rising sign is the sign that's on the eastern horizon at the time of your birth. So it's not a planet or anything.
Right.
But then your descendant sign is what's on the western horizon. So unlike your sun sign or your Venus sign, your descendant chart, it just said that, is a point rather than an actual planet or celestial body. It represents one of the 4 angles found in birth charts. So I finally learned what a midheaven and an Imlem-Coli are. The other 2 angles besides ascendant and descendant.
Yes.
I'm sure I said that wrong, but I'm learning things.
There are interesting words in astrology. You look at that word
how do I say that? It looks Latin, perhaps?
It does look Latin.
I should have taken Latin in high school. I took Spanish so I could get an easy A because I already knew it.
Hey. That's what you do.
That's what you do. I was a real slacker. Okay, so, but what does it mean, right?
Right.
So while your ascendant often represents your personal energy, your sense of self and self-image, or your sort of mask persona, the descendant astrology sign can often be like what you seek in relationships with other people. So a lot of the research I did, like a lot of people were talking specifically about the descendant being like your complementary energy on that level. It embodies the exact opposite qualities to those that you actively project in the world. The descendant, of course, can also be home to your shadow self, which is kind of what we've been talking about or alluding to. So, although the other part of your descendant sign that a lot of people equate it to like a relationship is because it starts in your 7th house, which is the house of relationships. I'm telling you this like I'm saying this to you like you don't already know.
No, but we're doing a podcast, right? So like you know,
Yes.
and I'm responding, I'm listening.
I know, but I'm just like I feel silly because I'm like Christine knows this so much better than I do.
But the people don't know.
You're right. The people don't know. The people don't know. Also, I've got cotton mouth. Sorry.
Yes.
I also just hit my head on the back of the wall. I need to
Oh God, take it easy.
I know,
Take
I
it easy.
threw my head back because I was laughing at myself and hit my fucking head. I need a bigger room for this.
No. I promise you.
You're right.
Look,
Too much.
Here I am.
Too much sound.
Right.
Christine's got soundproofing, like some really serious looking soundproofing.
No, you can't see the rig that I created to try to soundproof. It's behind the camera.
Okay, I don't know what you just said because you just cut out a whole bunch,
Oh, no.
but I hope that the listeners did.
Yes, they
Sorry,
heard
the
it.
Zoom call.
No, I just said you can't see what I rigged up. It's behind the camera.
Oh,
Like so, there's a whole
right.
setup.
Well, I'm sure it's very professional.
It's not, but it's attempted soundproofing.
We'll take it. Okay, so let's see. Oh, so it's in the 7th house, which is the house of relationships.
Yes.
I put a little reminder to myself to come back to talking about that because we are eventually going to do a series about the houses.
Yes. Well, we're eventually, as in starting next week.
Next week. So if that sounds interesting to you, please come back.
Yes.
Okay, so in addition to it being something that you can often seek in relationships, your shadow self is also kind of comes along with your descendant sign. The shadow self is a concept that you probably have heard before. I feel like a lot of people, especially now, are using it. Especially, we talked a little bit earlier, and you guys will get some bonus content in talking about the Teal Swan documentary. She does a lot of shadow work, and we talked about kind of the dangers of doing shadow work with someone that you have not vetted deeply.
Yes.
As far as therapists, but we'll talk about that sort of again at the end of the show. But shadow self is a real concept in modern psychology that really refers to the parts of yourself that you just don't want to recognize. Mm-hmm. So, parts of yourself that you can't even see, things that trigger you in other people, things like that. So according to the Wikipedia Wikipedia article, this is also sometimes known as the ego dystonic complex, which I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Repressed id, shadow aspect, or the shadow archetype. Lots of other terms that I have heard, but anyway, shadow self seems like the most appropriate one. But anyway, it's an unconscious aspect of your personality that doesn't correspond with your ego's ideal, leading the ego to resist and project the shadow. In short, the shadow self is sort of like an emotional blind spot. And this term was popularized by Carl Jung Also similar to the Freudian term repression, which, I think most of us kind of inherently know what that means.
Yes.
But because I feel like I've been talking for a long time, what are your thoughts? Do you feel like you have a good understanding of your own shadow self, or things that bother you in other people, or I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so it's interesting, and I was reading some of the articles that you have, cited here in our outline, and I was looking at, trying not to jump too far ahead. It's later in the show, but just looking at my descendant and reflecting on it, because my descendant is Scorpio. I feel like Scorpio is like the shadow of the shadow.
Right.
Scorpio's already like the mystery, and so that's the shadow, and so there's an interesting relationship with that. And it talked about you look for that almost in other people, but also you are not attracted to it. It's a weird kind of thing. And I think about Scorpio themes. I'm I think I have attracted that in partners, and also I think about it in comparison to the sun, that sun pull. Mm-hmm. But then you have the Venus, so there's all these different areas where you attract people, and you look at your seventh house. So that being in the seventh house, that's an interesting energy.
Yeah, because you have Scorpio placements somewhere else, right?
So that is it's my Saturn. My Saturn is in Scorpio, right. And it's in the seventh house. It's right on the line or something. But I think it's in the seventh house. Could be in the sixth, but I think it's just into the seventh house.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, you cut out for just a second there. I don't know why, it seems to be a little finicky tonight.
Yeah. Doesn't like us tonight.
But yeah, that is interesting, because I feel like you are not a dark, mysterious person, but you have enough of that, I feel like I didn't know everything about you the second that I met you.
Yeah.
It just feels like sort of a Scorpio thing, because some people you meet them and you're they I don't know, I don't want to say bond really quickly and just give you everything all at once, but
yeah.
Throughout the course of our friendship, I've been oh, Christine, you
and it continues.
Surprise me.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And I don't know. I like to think that I am oh my god, this is a funny meme that I saw recently.
Yeah.
I really want to be mysterious. I really do, but I just cannot shut the fuck up.
And I don't even think of myself as mysterious, but I saw another meme recently, or a tweet, and it was all the signs, it was comparing them or whatever, they were shaking hands, the signs were shaking hands, and I think it was Pisces and Scorpio shaking hands, and it was people never fully knowing you or whatever, and I'm oh yeah. But it's funny because it's not an active thing, oh, I'm gonna keep, I'm keeping these things. Well, it depends on the person, but I'm very much that way. It just continue to unravel for people. I feel a lot of my friends, even people I've known a long time, okay, all right, so you're here now, all right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. And I'm going to attribute that to my Mercury in Aries.
Yeah.
Is why I kind of do more upfront. What's remind me again what your Mercury is.
So my Mercury is in Aries.
That's right. Okay, yeah. So that doesn't make any sense.
But again, so there's this other piece of, I have that energy that we talked about, but also this 12th house stellium, which creates that same mystery energy, because it's everything in the spirit, in this other realm, right. So everything's hidden, and so right. I'm oh yeah, I guess this has been a theme in life, I just be hiding shit or whatever. Or
the
just
repression.
yeah, like things just get revealed over time. Like, oh, I didn't know you were like that. Oh, I didn't know this about you. Oh, what? Like,
Huh.
but like
Yeah.
even my parents, you know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I feel like for me, it depends on the relationship for sure. Because I was like very prone to like hiding things for no reason when I was a kid. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't even really get in trouble like that, but I would just like, I don't know, I would just try and hide shit for no reason. Like, I was just a weird, anxious kid.
So I'm gonna tell you that's very like you have the Pisces sun and then that Gemini moon. Like that's a very yeah. Just
Yeah.
there's no real reason for it, but
Right. But I
just gonna
feel
keep it
like
from
maybe I'm
you.
doing. I know I'm not doing anything wrong, but I feel kind of weird about it anyway. So
Right.
I'm gonna just not tell you. What is that? I was also like a pre being in a committed, actual good relationship was like a serial cheater. So, like
It happens. It happens.
until it happened to me, and then I was like, oh, I'm
And
never doing
then
that shit
yeah.
again. So, but I was a wild child.
We all have a past.
Yeah.
And some of us have a
Anyway,
present.
Shadow Self. Let's talk about it.
We're talking about the shadow, right? Look.
We
See
are.
how it just
We really are.
just comes on out?
Exactly. Oh my god. Okay, let me get back to my notes here if there's anything else oh my god, I didn't think that my outline was that thorough, and now I'm reading it back. I'm like, I have a lot of notes in here. What was I thinking?
There are bold words, there is italics. I mean, like, I was like, this is thorough. Like, there are linked things.
Thank you.
Oh,
I should also
impressed.
say I should cite some of my sources. Most of my information came from either Wikipedia or Astro.com.
Uh-huh.
And then there's also an article in here about the ascendant-descendant axis, which was a helpful visual that I thought we could post for people later. So if you know your rising sign, you can just look and see what your descendant sign is. And that came from canaryquillastrology.com.
Uh-huh.
So just a random astrologer's website.
Not a random astrologer.
Sorry, you're not random. You have a great website that I
It's very
cited.
nice. Yeah. I was like, this is a nice site.
Yeah. So so all that to say, now we kind of have a definition for what the shadow self is, right? It's and if you can probably think of it, if you're not sure like what your sort of archetype of a shadow self is, you can start to think about like what are things that really bother you in other people, or like what are things that you like, what are your values, and like what are things that you just would never do, right? And like maybe that has to do with your shadow self, and so it kind of involves looking in and seeing if you find any of those qualities in yourself, if you're willing to like accept them and bring them into the light, bring your shadow self into the light.
Yes.
So we all do encounter our shadow self at some point, and a lot of times if we haven't done what we call shadow work, it can kind of surprise us. Like, I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you're just at your worst because you're like at your wit's end, and you like have a reaction that you're maybe like, oh, I should not have done that. That is not the kind of person I want to be. Like, reflect on it later. At least I hope so, because everybody has those, but not everyone goes back and reflects on them.
Right.
Sometimes. Oh no, you're frozen.
You're back.
Are we back?
We're back.
Okay, we're back. We're back. Sorry.
It's one of those moments I'm like, I missed what you said, but I know it was good.
Same. Sorry. The listeners got it.
They got it.
I'll hear it later. So anyway, sometimes your shadow self can surprise you.
Yes.
According to Carl Jung, the shadow sometimes really overwhelms a person's actions. So, for example, and this is kind of what I was just talking about, but when the conscious mind is shocked, confused, or paralyzed by indecision, quote, a man who is possessed by his shadow is always standing in his own light and falling into his own traps, living below his own level. So you can kind of start to think about, like, the idea of self-sabotage, like if things are going really well for you and then, you know, something happens that, whether it was intentional or not, is like a self-induced thing that sort of implodes it all. You know, you kind of get into this pattern of doing those things, and maybe you need to do a little shadow work around that.
Yes. It's like you said a key word in there, and it was, or phrase, self-sabotage. And I feel like your shadow self is like that, in like encompassing of shadow self. Like, how do you self-sabotage? If you figure that out and go look at the sign, I bet you will see that trait. Because I'm like, ooh, Scorpio. How do I self-sabotage? Maybe some sexual situations, like
maybe, right? Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. See, okay, so I've been trying to figure this out for myself because mine is Capricorn, which is sort of, I'm not totally sure about like how to read that yet.
Do you bury yourself in work to avoid?
Here's the thing.
Like,
I think I did. Well, you know what? Yeah, that's it. Because I feel like, and not even just work, but just like being busy. Like sometimes it's not even work. It's just like, oh, I'm really busy. I overschedule myself a lot. And I was just having this conversation outside of here because like I told you, I'm having a weird time because I like moved back to my hometown and I started going back to therapy.
Yeah.
And I went like one time. I've been having all these like weird feelings, and I think a lot of it is that I'm like really happy because I'm kind of like in community here.
Yeah.
And I've been feeling different, but then part of me feels like the last like I don't know however long, like my time in Nashville, I was so busy all the time. That I just like kind of didn't let myself feel a lot of things, and now I'm just like, oh, now I have all these like feelings coming up. And I'm like, oh, I've just been pushing these off for like 5 or 6 years. Like, what have I been doing?
Look, sometimes it's a period of life. Like, man, okay, this period was, I was doing this. Yeah.
So
it's like a revelation. Like when you see it, it's like, oh shit. Like literally when I was reading that earlier, I was like, oh yeah, that is. Those are the things.
See, and this is where the modern psychology and the astrology just like come together so nicely. You know, without going too far into any alleged cult territory.
Right. There's no need to go into a cult. Right. Like,
no need.
You know, it's just right here. Like, you don't need a leader for this. Like, you can have a guide. You can have a support. But, you know. Also,
let me just say, not us, because we're just podcasters right now in this setting. But, you know, again,
maybe one day.
Seek out your people.
But
maybe one
not
day.
Today. But send us your emails, though.
Right, please do. And please let us read emails. Also, sorry, this is like going way back to when we were talking about relatable content.
Yes.
If anybody else wants to submit a meme of any kind for us to guess the sign,
yes,
please do that. That would be so fun. I would really enjoy that.
Send us just, clip it, whatever you do. Look, I'm about to show my age, so I'm not going to say anything else. But however you send those things to us, just send them, maybe on Instagram or whatever.
Anyway, yeah. Okay, I am going to jump really quickly. Well, let's see. What if we take a quick break?
Okay.
And then we finish out the meats, because there's just like a little short piece left. Yeah. And then we...
A little piece of meat.
Yeah.
Just a little meat
just
left.
a
That's
little bite,
yeah, you know.
Yeah, because we've talked about it a lot already, so and there's not a whole lot left, and then we'll do a quick Pisces Pregunta, and then our outro.
All right.
All right, y'all. We will be right back. All right, welcome back. This is the I'm Such a Pisces podcast. I'm not going to introduce myself again this time. I don't know why I did that last time.
It's like we hear these little 2-second breaks. You're like, and welcome back. This is Christine and Shelby. Like y'all were just gone for 2 seconds.
Sorry, y'all.
I think I got
a little self-conscious about my shadow work and vulnerability. Just had to introduce myself real quick. But on that note, we're just going to finish out our meets. So of course we are talking about the Descendant Signs and the Shadow Self and kind of how those two things overlap. So, we've been talking a little bit about how our shadow self comes up and how we all encounter it at some point, often in a self-sabotage kind of manner. But our goal is usually to be, a self-actualized human being as one does. And so in order to do that, we really have to confront our shadow and also integrate it into who we are, right?
Yes.
So to bring the persona before our shadow sort of overtakes us, an analogy that comes up a lot is, the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, two sides of the same person, which, as Christine pointed out, makes a lot of sense and is relatable to me personally as a Gemini moon, or anybody with Gemini placements, I think.
Yes, the twins.
Duality. Not necessarily good and evil, just twins.
Just, yeah, two sides of a coin. No bad sides.
Right.
Just two sides.
So, but with that being said, it has to be our sort of conscious, fully realized persona who takes over and integrates the shadow, because the shadow can't integrate the other half of your personality, right?
Right.
We have to fully integrate it into who we are. So I don't know. I feel like I could go on a weird tangent about that in a weird heady sort of way, but I won't do that. More than I already have.
Just get really meta about it.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, the buzz is really set in. We're gonna go there. Put on our tin hats. And tinfoil hats, and we're going to the moon.
Okay, instead of doing that, we're going to talk a little bit about how to integrate our shadow self and how to kind of look at our descendant and sort of integrate that into our personality without pushing it away or suppressing it or repressing it. So I feel like we've said this a million times so far on the podcast, or at least I have, because I literally just talked about it. But often, the best way to go about it is to get, especially because this is a concept that was, I don't know, it's always been a concept kind of, but popularized by Carl Jung. The last therapist I had was a Jungian therapist.
Ooh, okay.
And that was, I don't know, that was a helpful perspective to have when talking about doing shadow work. Again, here's the disclaimer, please vet your people.
Yes.
Don't join an alleged cult or just watch people on YouTube and think that you're done doing shadow work.
Right.
Is really the biggest message I have around that.
Yeah.
I'm telling myself as much as I'm telling you guys, because I think both of us have talked tons about how susceptible we are as people to joining cults.
Yes. I mean, I'm very much there. And I mean, I do think that there's a part of the shadow work, of course, if you're doing deep reflection, writing, there's some things you can do on your own, but as far as following someone, really just investigate, because again, there are a lot of wonderful spiritual leaders and healers and people, and then there are also probably an equal or greater amount of people that are just, I don't know what they're out here doing. scamming. Some just don't know what they're talking about. Like, some like people, just kind of start dabbling and start talking, and then next thing you know, they have a following, and they're misguiding tons of people.
It happens every day. It happens literally
Every
every
day.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, speaking of ego and shadow self, the kind of people that do that, some really, I would love to look at their birth charts.
Yes. Yeah.
I'd love to
So
look at a Teal Swan birth chart or a Keith Rainieri birth chart.
Ooh, oh my God. I would love to see Keith Raniere's birth chart. Like, that man is weird.
So fucking weird. And he's like, they act like he's so hot too, and I'm just like, no, dude.
Girl, it just
weird.
blows me.
He's weird.
And I'm like, you literally have these like beautiful women around. Like, this is the guy. But like, also, it's like that whole like nerd thing as adults. Like, women are, now into the smart men or whatnot. But see, Keith wasn't really talking about anything.
He really wasn't. He was talking in literal circles, and everyone was fake deep.
So much circular talk.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah. But like, what really messed me up about NXIVM was the fact that like in the beginning, and this is where they get you, right? Like, this is the same thing with Teal Swan. You have these masses of people who follow her and get like the first kind of level, right? And like, that could be very inspiring, probably is somewhat helpful, like those pieces, and then you go deeper. So the same thing was with him. He had like a whole like self or professional development kind of program, and that's like the entrance. And I'm like, oh, that seems like something I would have gone to.
I mean, everybody has something that's drawing people in, like Scientology, right? Like they have, they offer you a lot. That's like, no, it's totally normal. Like, you just show up, get some free food.
Like, I'm scared of Scientology. We have the Scientology Center around the corner, and like, I don't know if Melissa has told you.
Oh, I'm sure she's
story.
had some weird encounters with those people.
They had her trapped up in there. I was like, baby, you couldn't even catch me in there. Like, I wouldn't even walk on the property. Like, I've seen all the documentaries. Like, I'm not
going near it. And
nowhere
they
near.
Always have these big, huge, beautiful buildings. There is a massive building in downtown Kansas City, which is where I live now. For anybody who I haven't said that yet, there is a huge building, and I remember it was not there the last time I lived here. Which, granted, that's been like 12 years, but like still.
Okay. I get it. Yeah.
Okay, and I had this conversation with a friend who was like, that, because it used to be this like shitty old building. They had a building, but it was like old, shitty, small, whatever. And now it's this massive. It's like beautiful. And she's like, yeah, you can always tell when the city is doing well because they only go to cities with money. Because they want their buildings to look like this. And same with Nashville. They have that beautiful building. It's
a beautiful building.
Like,
and there's like a lot of like high tech stuff. Like, I mean, money is like pouring out if you go in there. I just can't like go in there because I'm not. If you close some doors behind me, I'm a freak out. No. Like, like, do not trap me in any rooms. Like, no. So.
Yes. Okay, so before we get too much deeper into the cults, just please don't join a cult. Okay? Like, vet everything.
Yes.
The other thing I was going to say, so like, I feel like I'm a big proponent of therapy. I know there are a lot of bad therapists in the world, and, sometimes you just gotta try a few. But I do think it's always a helpful thing. But I know that that's like a luxury for a lot of people. Like, times are fucking hard right now, and things are weird, and not everyone has the ability to do that. So there are other ways that you can start to do shadow work on your own, especially without like, I don't recommend YouTube being your like primary source of any information, or us, frankly, but you can do a lot of like journaling and meditation and things like that, that I think can be really helpful if you're in the right state of mind and you really are like reflecting on some of your own stuff.
Absolutely.
So I wrote down a few things that I thought would just be like kind of helpful little journaling prompts to talk about.
Yes.
So one thing that is probably like a good way to describe this overall, but it's basically just like you're becoming a curious observer of your own emotions, which is just generally a good thing to do. Observing your triggers, kind of like I said earlier, observing, you know, like what bothers you in other people and things like that, what you might be projecting. But then also practicing like the non-judgment of yourself if you do one of those things, and like, you know, really owning the self-compassion around that. And then I was also going to see, so another thing that came up a lot as like a way to work on kind of shadow self stuff was the past life regression and meditation. And I know you've done a little bit of past life regression kind of stuff. So I don't know, any thoughts about that?
I mean, I think it's all about, it's, you know, like the whole past life regression is all about integrating like those messages, those lessons, like all of those things. And that's all part of the shadow, like, you know, confronting these parts of ourselves that we try to hide. And so, yeah, like it all links together.
Yeah. Let's see. The other thing was just like journaling prompts. And so obviously we talked about that at the beginning of the episode because clearly our co-stars were trying to tell us something about writing things down.
Okay.
But some kind of helpful journaling prompts are just like asking yourself some basic questions that you might not have thought to ask yourself before. So questions like, who am I, and like, what do I want, and what do I have to let go of to get those things? Who do I have to become to receive those things? How do I want to show up? Just like, you know, just really asking yourself questions. And I know, okay, so last week our first episode of season 1 came out on 8/8, which is, as Christine mentioned we didn't talk about this until off mic.
Yeah, I know. I was like, man, I didn't mention the Lionsgate portal.
Yeah.
Which we are still in until tomorrow.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Or through tomorrow. Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I've been seeing a lot of stuff about that specifically, and like talking about how it's a good time for manifesting things and,
yes,
you know, that kind of stuff. And so, you know, I think if you're working on that kind of stuff, these can be really helpful questions too, to just like write down. And
absolutely,
I feel like I'm in the middle of doing a lot of work around like who am I really, like what is just like my social conditioning, and like what have other people told me I'm supposed to like, and what do I really, you know, some Saturn return type shit.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Which I looked up.
Sure.
I'm still in my Saturn return until 2023.
Like
May of 2023.
I think March.
Or March of 2023, yeah.
When it moves to Aquarius. Or moves to you're Aquarius. And it moves to Pisces.
Yes.
Yeah, you're Aquarius and it moves to Pisces. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know so much more about this shit than
I. It's because I'm reading this stuff all the time.
It's true. It's true.
I'm immersed in
But I'm learning. I'm getting there. We're still at season 2.
You
still
sure
learning. Hashtag still learning.
Look, and we will still be learning.
Yes. So that's really, I think anybody could probably benefit from a little bit of shadow work, even if you have done a lot of that stuff. It's good to revisit and keep asking yourself.
And those questions, those questions are really, like when you actually sit down to answer those,
they're hard.
Like it sounds kind of like funny, like, oh, who am I? But like really, when you start to think about who am I and you take away like what you do or your hobbies or like all those things, like, and just like, who am I as a being? Like, what are my values? Right. What is my essence? Like, yeah, like that kind of stuff. You're like, whoa, okay, hold on. I have to really think about this because we define ourselves and it's part of society of like what we do and our, you know, what work do we do and
who you are to other people.
Right, who you are to other people. Right, but like who are you?
Right.
And it's a little more difficult to think about and conceptualize. Like, wait, who am I?
Yeah, yeah.
What do I want? Yeah.
It's hard because I don't know. I just feel like I'm in a weird stage of life where I feel like I really thought I knew in one way, and now I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I did. You know?
Yeah. I feel like I see this a lot relationship wise, like especially with the things we want versus like the things we do. And like and this is obviously this isn't everyone or we do these things in different ways, but like people that like hit this period, it's like you are not living like in alignment with what you really want.
Right.
Like because there's a part of you that's like resisting this. There's a like you're going against the grain of this thing that you've committed yourself to.
Mm-hmm.
But like this isn't what you really want.
Right.
But this is what you've been told that you're supposed to want, or this is the next step in life, or like whatever. And like you're doing these things, it's like this actually has nothing to do with me. This has everything to do with like what I've been told.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I feel like it's gonna be a weird time for me. Because I'm like,
but you're gonna get through it. You're gonna get through it, and it's.
Yeah.
I mean, it does. There is like a difference. It's weird to think about that, like because I hadn't thought about it in a Saturn return way for so long. But like, even being here at 37, like looking at just what doesn't seem like that was that long ago. I'm like, wait, that was how many years ago? Oh wow,
the last
really
few years
gotten old.
Wild.
Yeah, it's like, are we timeline jumping? Like, I don't know what's happening. Like, how do we get here? I don't know how I got to this age.
Did you know the Earth is spinning faster now?
I've heard. I'm like, well, great. Because that's why I'm like, whoa, what's happening? Like, It always feels like time is just really weird. But yeah, and I just lost where I was going to go.
We're here.
That's fine.
Remember when I said I wasn't going to get into the existential whatever?
I know.
We're here. I love it.
We started talking about time. Like, I said timeline jumping. I was like, oh, here we
go. Reel it in. No, I loved it, though, because that's exactly, we're on the same wavelength. Wavelength.
Yes.
Well, anyway, all that to say, I think practicing a little bit of shadow work, if you, a listener, happen to, listen to this and get inspired to see a therapist or get inspired to, have a little journal entry and you want to send us a little anonymous little, like, this is what this is like for me. This is what, my shadow self, I don't know. That could be fun.
Share your insights with us.
Yeah. Maybe you've already been through this period in your life where you've really worked on your shadow self and you have advice for me.
Yes. Anyone has Saturn return advice, please send in. Send help.
Yeah, all of the above. But yeah, that's really it for the meets. So, any other thoughts?
I mean, it was all great. It was,
Thanks.
We said the things.
We did. We said the things.
Other than me going into another tangent, I think, this is very well done.
Thanks. Well, and I had a couple of questions at the end, but I kind of feel like we've already really talked about them or answered them. Just around, like, do you find elements of your shadow self showing up, from time to time, and how do you integrate it? So yeah, I feel like we're good on that. Do you want to take a quick break and come back for our outro and a Pisces moment of the week?
Let's do it.
All right, we'll take a quick break and we will be right back. Welcome back to the I'm Such a Pisces podcast. We are just here to wrap it up.
We're wrapping it up like a condom. All right.
Christine, before we get out of here, do you have a Pisces moment of the week that you want to share?
So, I think, again, I have a Taurus moment of the week.
I love it. Let's see.
Well, okay, it's a Pisces and Taurus moment. So, I'm like, I feel like last week this might be the same. It's not the same story, but it's probably the same thing. But anyways, I was like in a slump yesterday. Yesterday, so this is the whole day. I told you earlier off mic. Yesterday was just like kind of an emotional shit show. Yeah, like death. Full moon was full mooning yesterday.
Understandably.
Yes. And so at one point, Melissa is just like, what's going on? Like, what can I do? Like, what do you need? I'm like, nothing. Like, I'm fine. Blah, blah. Like, just, I'm just going to sit here, whatever. And so she had to go somewhere. And so she left. And then she comes back with like a smoothie bowl from Eros.
Aww.
And I was like, such a Taurus. Like, just feed her. And then she came back later. She's like, do you feel any better? I was like, I do kind of feel better since I ate. So.
I mean, that is sort of a Taurus moment, but I can also relate to as a Cancer rising is like, my thing is like, how can I feed you? Like, let me help you. And like, usually it involves like feeding someone or bringing someone something if I'm trying to make them feel better. And I also just want to be loved the way that I love other people. Like, yes, bring me food. That's fine. I will probably feel a little better.
Right. I mean, literally, I just laughed. Like, of course. It's she's like, oh, just throw some food at her. She'll be fine. Oh, I brought you your favorite this. I'm like, how you be? Yeah, let me have that.
Yeah, but I do want it though. Is the thing.
Like, why do you think you can just fix this with food? Okay, I do feel better.
You're right. That's funny. Yep, that'll do it.
What about you?
I'm trying to think. Do I have one? I mean, like I said, it's honestly kind of the same as last week. Like, I've just been in my feelings since we're like settled in. The moving process is like over. We like really live here now, and like part of me is just like so happy to like be close to my family and close to my friends. And I feel like a resonance of like, this is a place that I'm from. Like, I don't know, there is like an energy. My hair looks better. Like, the water here is like better for my hair, which is stupid, but like,
that's real.
Like it's real.
That is real.
And
some cities have much better. I mean, we know. We'll go into Flint, Michigan, but we do know, like, water supply in different places is different.
Yes, very much so. So I feel good in a lot of ways, but then also a part of me is feeling like all of these, like, very angsty feelings, because like at the last time I lived here I was a literal teenager and I was very angsty, and I feel like a lot of that is like coming back up for me just like I'm like kind of, it's hard to go to the place where you're from and not like revert to your childhood just like a little tiny bit when you've been gone for a long time. And I don't know, it's interesting. I feel really like free and good and fun, and like I'm kind of like back to a self that I didn't even really realize that I lost, but at the same time I'm also like, what is my problem? Like, I'm so angsty and like nostalgic and like sad about nothing. Like, mixed feelings.
I mean, all of those things are part of it, I think. Just being in, I mean, like, not in the very same way, but I feel like when I go to Memphis, because that's where I went to college and like spent grad school, like, so there's a good like 7-8 years of my life that are like formative kind of years, right? Like your young adult, like your 20s, like this like kind of special time. And so like when I go there, there's like this feeling, and I'm like, ooh, in this place. And like, I mean, we went, I guess maybe some weeks ago or a month ago or so, for my friend's child's birthday. I was like, why were we in Memphis? Yes. And we went to like Midtown, and used to hang out in Midtown with like a lot of my friends, especially back in grad school. And like just being there, just like you just feel this feeling, it's I don't even know how to describe it. It's literally just like a feeling, and all of the feelings that were going on when you were there kind of
Right.
come to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like a weird thing because I'm also like, well, I live here now, so like, is this gonna stay,
Right.
or do I just have to integrate these feelings into my regular life now? Yeah, it's like I don't know. It's a
I
weird
think it
thing.
settles, but I think I think there's the thing about being back in a place where, so many significant memories, like a lot of things that are part of your formative, like life experience. Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
when you spent time away from that place, coming back to that, I think there's a period of time that's just like, there's a lot just coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's been my Pisces moment of the month. It's just
Right.
like,
Continuing
having
Pisces moments.
God, still having feelings, Shelby. Christ. Anyway, so
Life, right?
yeah, it's life. Do you have an outro for us this week? A little spell out action to give
I
us?
have a little spell out, just, me doing the spell out. But I'm working on something special for us. Um, it's like
We'll take
now
it.
I have to get into my, like, Badu, like, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. Like, hey, when I drop this on y'all, don't criticize me.
Oh my god! But you look like you look so professional. Like you've got your screen. Your I forget what those things are called.
The
Little
pop
screens.
filter.
The pop filter. Thank you. I could not think of what that was called. You got your over-the-ear headphones. You've got your little soundproofing.
I'm ready to,
You're doing
like,
it.
rap on the mic. Like,
Mm,
I'm in here.
mm. Give us a spell out.
Right. So, you can email us at suchapicespod@gmail.com.
You can also find us at Such a Pisces Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Guess who still has not followed the Facebook page?
Come on. Come on, Shelby. We need a
Sorry.
follower.
I know. Sorry, you said there was people following.
I think there are, but, I also forget to look. So,
Fair.
but we need the other
Well,
hosts
anyway.
to follow.
Right, I know. I'll get there. Anyway, follow us in all those places. Please subscribe on your favorite streaming platform.
Yes.
Wherever you're listening to this now, please rate us 5 stars and maybe tell a friend that's into astrology about us.
Yes.
Because,
Each
word of
one,
mouth is good too.
teach one. Each one.
Oh my god.
Share one.
Exactly. There you go. Thank you. Oh, other than that, y'all, we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. That was good.